All right, call me order to according to the open public meeting act. Take roll, please, Tara.
Sure. Bob Puskis?
Here.
Arnold Schmidt?
Here.
Okay, Bob Warnlocker?
Here.
Stephen Dahl is absent, he told me that. Ted Chase? Mary Lauco? I don't know if she's coming tonight or not. Robin Sudam, I believe, is gonna be absent tonight. John Moon?
Here.
Bob Laporte?
Here.
Vanessa Jones? Here. John Hurling is gonna be absent. Bill Connell?
Here.
Stephanie Chodel is coming late. We've got Arnie, Dave Triggs.
Here.
Councilman Potasnik is not here yet, and Mayor Kramer is absent.
On vacation. Video should be about an hour.
We have minutes.
We could share.
The last minutes, oh, go ahead, Bill.
I didn't submit for whatever the last meeting was, but you have from November.
We have January, I think, right? January is here. Didn't you submit January? You did. I think January's the last
I
one.
thought
Did we approve those already?
Yeah.
Those are the most recent ones I have.
the only one was missing was February.
February.
It was November.
November.
Yeah.
Right, November.
We did November's last month.
We did November's last month.
Right.
No, we did January's hold on, let me look at the old minutes. Approval of November minutes, none submitted, say again, none
All right,
submitted.
sorry.
Okay, so January is in front of you. Did we approve those?
Pretty sure you did.
Okay, but we don't have February.
Do not have.
Oh, wait, we didn't meet in February.
Right.
I'm sorry, we didn't meet in March because of the budget. So we're only missing February and November.
Correct. Well, you have.
I don't, when did you send me November? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, did we approve November? I'm getting confused.
I'm sorry.
What month is it?
I'd like to who's on
I have a question. Who's
what's
on
on
first?
second routine?
I don't have November.
Sorry, I stole it.
We do have November.
We have January. Right, we have January 21st. Right?
No February.
February we don't have, but that's coming.
Right, November's.
So February would be the most recent one anyway. Okay. So we don't have February. Oh, we do have November, you're right, Bill. We do have November, but I didn't print it out this time. Okay, so we'll do both. We'll do both. Oh, wait, no, I took November. Oh my gosh, that's why I'm back. I just came back into my brain. I had no idea where I was. I did the November minutes.
Bill played hooky.
Okay, so I can leave them on the screen if you want to read them quickly, and we can approve November, or I can just print them out for the next time.
I'd say next time.
Okay, all right. I did November. That's why I keep looking for Bill, but it's not Bill, it's me. Okay, I'm here. Okay.
All right,
All
so
right.
we have January to approve.
Can I say something? Well, after you're done approving it.
All right, and any additional corrections to the January minutes? Not a motion to approve.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, there's no moving.
Okay. And at the next one, I'll make sure I print out November, and Bill will have February.
There you go.
And this one. So you'll have February and April next time, Bill.
I could do it on new business.
All right.
New business.
Yeah, probably.
We're on it.
I'll wait to new business.
Financial report, any questions on our financial report? We're sent out, their email.
And then there's paper copies in the middle, and I sent it out this afternoon, just because I got the info this afternoon.
In the spirit of Arnie Schmidt, signage is misspelled for signage for East Millstone.
Oh, it is, I see it. Okay, let me fix it.
Signage.
Sign it.
Is that for you, Arnie?
Sign it.
I appreciate it.
I
didn't want to be too big. You know, I figured I'd do it for you.
Got it. All right.
He would have found it if I didn't.
He would, yes.
Now, the signage for East Millstone, is that just
That's the
for the park
that's
or the
Mattler, the Ruta Park sign, being coordinated by the East Millstone Historical Society.
I'd like to know about
Contribution from us.
What is the zinc-plated steel chain?
I don't know exactly.
I'm
what that's
sure that it was
but-
to close off something in one of the parks that gets a lock on it, that somebody probably broke the chain.
Yeah.
Is where I-
$39,000
Definitely a
for a
replacement
chain, that's a
chain.
lot of money.
Hmm?
$39,000 for a chain.
168,000 monthly expenditure, that's the balance.
That's the balance.
Come on, Bill, put your glasses on.
Bill had a rough day at work today.
I feel his pain, Marty, I feel his pain.
A rough month.
The Big Belly trash can's doing well.
They're doing wonderfully, we love them.
I've always been proud that
I
they
used
started
to
in
be.
Kingston.
They started in Kingston with your encouragement against the Public Works manager's desire, and now he can't think of anything better to put in any of the parks because it saves on manpower, because you don't go empty a garbage can that's not full. They notify when they're full, and they compact, so they get more in the can than just a 55-gallon drum, because it compacts it, and they are very, very, very good addition.
Brought those up.
You, I thought.
No, it was somebody in Kingston.
Someone in Kingston, oh, no, I know who it was. It was Di Giovanni, owned the photography studio.
No, that's right.
That's who it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's
yeah.
who it was.
Di Giovanni, right? Yep, that was his idea. You're absolutely right.
Any questions out of that? A motion to approve the financial report?
Motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, thank you. Next on the, I put blue light past public comment, don't see anybody here, so.
Someone here.
Sorry about that, folks. New business, leasing updates.
Can I?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just do one new business that's off the calendar.
So, I just want to say that Andrew Urian, who was chair of the Historic Commission, most of you know, passed away on Thursday. We're down to like 4. We've lost some people, resignation and stuff. But having said that, I asked Steve Galuli, who is the chair of Shade Tree Commission, to save a white oak. So what we're going to do is, Bob should know too, is have it planted at one of our historic homes, with hopefully maybe a little stone plaque or something like that that historic commission members will chip in to put in. So Andrew was 46, 3 kids, and it was pretty devastating when I got the phone call. So.
Was there a home in particular that you had thoughts of?
The Van Loo house, from what I understand, lost a white oak. And it's high up overlooking a sunset, which I thought would really be nice in the front of the house. But I still would like to talk to his wife in case there was something else. But I don't want to talk to her now.
Yeah.
Just wait a little bit, and then we'll discuss it at our May meeting in the first Tuesday of the month in May.
And the vice chair is assuming the role of chair. I have Pat Shamala.
One thing to consider, those white oaks are bare root.
I'm sorry?
The white oaks are bare root. So
Bare root. Bare root
The
trees.
bare root
bare
trees.
root. So I don't know if you talked to Steve about how to preserve the trees, because
He
there's.
said it should be okay, and he was going to get DPW to put it in. Okay.
Just
What
bring
year?
out the auger.
What year?
I don't know yet. We don't know yet. Probably, acorns on it.
What about a planting in the Memorial Forest?
We'll discuss it at the historic, what the members want to do. So I brought that up too in an email to everybody on Saturday, so.
Keep us posted, Bob.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gary, you want to lead on this?
Yes. So,
No, Mike.
at the last Ag Advisory Committee meeting in April, the first Thursday of April, we talked about 2 leases that are and have two different things happening. So the Ag Advisory Committee, I have a memo up on the screen. I can print it out for you, but I figured I would just show it on the screen just to save paper. The first is the Consolata property. So let me just be clear again. This is a memo from the Ag Advisory Committee to the Open Space Advisory Committee. One recommending that a portion of Consolata property be leased out for farmland, and you can see it ends up the whole side, the whole western side, which it wouldn't be the whole western side most likely, but just for measuring purposes, the whole northwestern side of the driveway is 23.8 acres. It's over 86% prime soils for agriculture, meets the state's criteria for farmland. The Ag Advisory asked that this memo be sent basically saying, hey, maybe the town should look into potentially leasing that for farmland. So that's point one of the memo. Point two is, this just shows the soils of that property, just so you know. So the dark brown is all the prime soils, so you can see where it would be for agriculture.
What's the dark?
This dark here?
No, up north.
Up here?
Yep.
The stream cover.
That's the
That's the
stream.
stream corridor.
The second part is the memorial forest. So actually, it's interesting timing to talk about it, but the current tenant sent me in writing notice that he is not going to be renewing his lease. He did have the option for one more 5-year extension, which he's not taking. So being that now he's not taking that, we can actually look into like our potential concept plan for a memorial forest. So this is what he was leasing. It was 47 acres, and this is what his lease covered, so he won't be leasing that anymore. This here is the area that we were thinking about for the memorial tree planting when we did the concept plan, which again, this was just a very basic concept a while back. This is, I gotta put my glasses on so I can see, this is 1,700, I can't even see with the glasses on. My God, it's tiny. What does that say down there?
7.75 acres.
Oh, okay, wow. Okay. Oh my God, so,
The middle age.
I know. I thought middle age was in your 40s, I'm only in my 30s, so this is impossible that I've reached.
Middle age is in your
Middle age
70s.
already. Yes, right. So the plan was extending the trail. As you can see, we'd have to do some improvements along the driveway to make it flat because there are some divots in there. Here's the site where the memorial tree planting would be. It's currently leased, but not going to be leased anymore. And then this is the property we own here that goes to Elizabeth Ave. So in the future, extending it all the way through Elizabeth Ave. And this is a close-up of the concept plan we did a while
Before you
back.
go
Yep.
there for a second.
Yep.
As far as the road going all the way back, I know we had talked about opening up one area up close to the forest, the open area there where we're going to have a parking area.
Yes.
There's still discussion about that.
There is. I didn't put I can bring up the whole concept plan for us to review. I just put 2 of the slides in here for now. But yes, the idea for parking was somewhere, I think it was somewhere over here or over here, like right in the middle.
Either, there were 2 different places.
Yeah, but that would all be part of it if we want, and we have to kind of flesh it out more, work with Maureen probably in DPW.
So, I realize we don't make a tremendous amount of money on these leases, but why don't we get our ducks in a row with where we want to do this so that we don't have that conflict again for whoever gets the lease, so that we can say, this is eliminated from the lease property, right? I mean,
Bob, what the Ag committees had talked about was, Tara, if you could.
Not leasing it. The Ag Committee's
Right.
recommendation is maybe
Right.
don't lease
See
it at all.
oh, no, don't lease it at all?
Is that
Round up, put the back down. Oh, no,
here?
right there, right. You see the 2 brown, the 2 brown
Yeah.
fields, right, those 2 and the 2 in the front.
Oh, these can be leased.
Right, that
But
would,
none of this would be.
none of that in the back would be.
Right, well, that's what I'm getting at, but also just because of the way that we need to get that road in a width that's appropriate for cars to be able to go in and out of, right? I just want to make sure that whoever leases this property is aware of the fact that that is going to happen.
Well, we could,
Yeah,
that
it
could
just
be
needs to
verbiage
be
of the
said.
lease, right.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, it
Yeah,
just
but
I think
needs
that
to be
is the
said.
plan, yes, figure out first how wide do we need
That's
to
my
improve
point.
it, and then lease. So I guess the question is it okay to not lease it for some time until we get the ducks in a row?
Well,
right?
then somebody's got, the town's got to mow
The
it.
only problem is that when you don't plant then you have to deal with
Yeah.
the after effects of that.
It will
I mean,
reflect
how long
that,
are you
yeah.
gonna need to not lease it?
Well, we really just need to figure out if we move forward with the plans for Memorial Forest, we need to basically figure out, how much width needs to be taken out, what are the improvements, I need to work with Maureen.
It is that time of year where that we should do that now.
We can have DPW maybe at least mow it once and then that's it. And then hopefully by next year, it's back on the lease. Do you think that's doable or?
Whatever the committee thinks. I mean, it's, again, we got more work for Public Works than Public Works need to have. They're gonna have to mow the back anyway.
No, but with the big mower, it's not that big a deal.
Right,
It's
right.
just maybe 2 days worth of work. It'll just get scheduled
Yeah.
through Tara and that'll be fine. I mean,
Right.
I'm just saying that I would prefer to see us define for the farmer who leases it, what we're gonna do with
That's fine.
that. Yeah, that's.
That's agreeable.
Yeah.
Why not?
That would all be part of it, figuring
And then we can
out.
lease it out sooner rather than later. I mean,
Right.
then, once we tell them, all right, this is where we're
Yeah.
gonna go,
Right.
so don't plant crops, if the road's gonna be 25 feet wide, then don't plant crops in that 25-foot
With the buffer,
section.
right.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Right now, that access road is the width for one vehicle.
That's what I'm getting at. That's why 25 feet is wide enough to get two.
You need at least.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the first phase really, and I mentioned this at the Ag Advisory Committee, the first phase to really make this happen is that driveway has to be
Yeah.
not only widened, but it has to be improved because so that's really
If
phase
it's an
one.
improvement, That's something that.
Right.
know,
Phase
Get done
two,
early.
yeah. Phase two, the field is already open in the back. It's basically then making a program for memorial trees. How does it work? How does it get planted? How do people pay? We do that, yeah.
Where you come into play.
And then phase three is connecting it through Elizabeth Ave, but that even can be down the road. This is right now, let's get this in there. We want to get benches in there and make it nice,
Now,
Are you gonna have?
Agreed.
there, you got to water the trees.
Yes, so the water, so DPW has a watering truck.
Uh-huh.
That's gonna be what it's gonna be, probably, but that's why it's
Just
important to get
because
the
the cost
access.
of drilling a well is so great. that-
Well, there's a well there, but then you got, I don't know how good your underground pipe is, the run pipe, it's probably not worth the
It's
effort.
not worth the effort.
Now, going back to the driveway, here's a thought, and I've seen this done on major roads. Would you have to have a 25 all the way up, or would you have a couple pull-off spots? Where the cars come in and get to a spot, and the one car
I
go
mean,
by the other one?
there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I just think that if we're just gonna go out and drop gravel on the driveway, you might as well just drop it in one load up and one load back, right? And that's gonna get you between 20 and 25
Right,
feet.
I'll make it wide enough,
Yeah.
sure, that's fine.
What were you thinking? What does that get you to make it like Scotland?
What's
Like, what does that get you by putting the little turnoff things instead of one straight line? Like, does it help?
Not just because you don't have to do as much.
Right.
I mean, I understand what he's saying. It's not that long a road, and it's not like we're gonna have, it's not like AMO road traffic. I mean,
Right,
it's nice.
yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be a whole lot of cars driving up and down it at any given time.
Right.
So, I mean, your point is valid. I mean, if they look at it and the way it lays out, that you do a 12-foot wide, and at certain points you go to, you widen it up, so that's the spot where you would go past. I would hope that people don't drive more than 5 or so miles an hour
Right,
down it
right.
to begin.
Seriously.
Good reason to
One
have
would
it,
hope,
good reason to have it a little bit bumpy.
yeah, make it a little slower, right? I mean, listen, you know who's gonna go out there? Mostly the people sitting at this table are gonna be the ones that go out there the most, right?
Right. Yeah, you're right, Bob.
Is there gonna be, like certain hours that you're allowed to go back there?
Well, I mean, it would follow the same rules as any park.
Yeah.
Sunrise to sunset, basically. I mean, that's half hour before
There's no-
sunset, it's a half hour.
Or is there a gate or?
There's no
anything that
lights
would be-
back there.
Is there a gate that would be closed or anything?
No. And here's why. Who's going to do it?
I understand.
Right.
Who's gonna do it on a Saturday? Who's gonna do it on a Sunday?
Yeah.
Who's gonna close it? Who's gonna make sure that it's open? And, and I'll tell you that it's ironic that you bring that up, because I had that very same conversation over the last 2 days on 2 separate occasions with 2 separate people about the current design of Catalpa. And I brought up the Honorable Dr. Chase in that conversation both times, because when we were going through the original concept of Catalpa, Ted said, we really need a gate there. Catalpa has more than one challenge for everyone involved. The biggest challenge is if you put a gate out at Old Wheat Road, then you have an issue with the Pachalics who live in the middle of the park. And if they want to order DoorDash, how does the DoorDasher get to their house if there's a gate out there? And because what we're looking at is the possibility of a gate as such that exists at the Public Works garage, which is on a timer, and it's able to be overridden by a card access key like we use here in the building. So like there's a pad at Public Works. So if I go there at 2 o'clock in the morning and I swipe my card, it lets me in. If I'm in and the door and the gate closes, there's a loop in the road that when I drive over it, the gate opens. So what I said was I wanted them to explore the idea, but the gate at Catalpa would be further down. It wouldn't be for the first fields, the cricket fields, but it would be for the playgrounds and tennis courts and beyond the Pachalik's driveway. So yeah, and then I also I said, what I'd like to do is if we can get it for what I think is a reasonable cost and it's easy to install, I'd also like to explore the idea at Middlebush Park. So we're kind of going down that road, and that was the conversations I had today. But it's not easy. Let's just it's.
The gate that I remember discussing was for the Pachalik's driveway.
Well, they're getting a gate. They get a gate. That's all been worked out with the Pachalics. We're concerned about the back of the park, beyond the Pachalik's driveway.
Facilities there.
We do have facilities. There's a building, there's a pavilion, there's the playground, there's the tennis courts, pickleball courts, basketball courts, all the things that are going into that park. So we want to make sure that it's secure. But if we put in the gate like I'm explaining, then the police department would have no problem getting back beyond it once the gate was closed for the night, because their card would allow them access in, and we wouldn't need someone locking and unlocking it every day. So that's what we're looking at right now.
So does anything happen at Middlebush Park that informs what needs to be done?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Bill.
Anything happen in Middlebush Park that informs what really needs to be done? Is there some data that suggests that you really need the gate? Or is this forward thinking?
The issue with Catalpa is that you go much deeper into the property and it's wooded all around it, whereas there's houses around most of what exists in Middlebush Park, and it's also literally, 150 yards from the police station. So it's far less likely that something there as opposed to the remoteness of Catalpa. So, but I'm still looking at both. And the other thing that is coming down the pike and is included in the Catalpa plans are cameras.
Catalpa has
Cameras that go direct feed into the police station.
All right, so.
So anyway, I'm sorry, I got off track, but.
Okay, so what's the pleasure on these properties, as far as Consoladas and Memorial Parks? You want to hold off on leasing Memorial Parks for the time being, or we can put it out to lease any time, because you don't have to have a spring crop, you can put a fall crop on it.
Well, that's fine. I don't think there's any problem with that. I think that the decision ultimately, and you know that the issues, there have been discussions in this committee, and the mayor is not here today, about the farming of Consolata and anything that would be done there. I asked that, given the Ag Advisory making that recommendation, and who's the liaison is Ed Potosnik for Ag as well, right? And he's not here either. I'd asked that get put off that when those two council members are here, because ultimately they're going to have to be the ones that approve the leases. Well, no, they also, let's be honest, leases go on a council agenda, not an open space agenda. They vote on it.
Right.
So they need to be able to inform their fellow council members about all of this discussion.
Right.
So we can put that on the next agenda.
Not saying no, I'm
Right,
saying
no, right, I get it.
I'd like to have them involved in that
Sure,
discussion.
Yeah. So
I'm wondering, so, I know we had, somebody come, was it Reich Sadam who came?
Right, Saddam came and asked for it to be mowed, but
Mowed,
also a
right.
resident of.
This addressed that issue?
Well, it would address it to some degree, but a resident of Cordeloo Lane also came and requested that it not be used for agriculture because of the application of pesticides and herbicides that he made him sick. So there's a lot to balance here. I mean, the Public Works Department can mow it. I mean, that's not the problem. The problem is all of the things taken into consideration. So that's what I just said. I think that the two council members who are liaisons to this committee, one of whom is the liaison ag, should be in this meeting to discuss this.
My other question is, for the Memorial Forest piece, for the driveway, is it that we need to have like the measurements determined before we lease the farmland there?
We
Or
just
do we need to have them?
so what happened is, with the current farmer, he was planting crops right up to the edge of the road.
Yeah.
And that would have been a monetary loss if we went in there and said to him, all right, well, that 10 feet of crops, you're losing that. And it's, 10 feet at, whatever number, 100 feet, that's unfair. I just want to be fair to whoever leases it, that they know what we're doing.
We can mark it out.
You can mark it out with spray paint and
flags,
say,
whatever,
here it is.
To mark
This
it
is what
out,
it's
and we
gonna
should
be.
also look at the lease, the terms of the lease, and make sure that they're current and that they work with what we want and what.
And that they understand that there's going to be public coming down that road
Right.
and going to the forest in the back. And right now, the guy who leases it now, he wouldn't have known that because we didn't tell him that was what was
Right.
gonna happen.
Right.
So being that's a new lease, we can kind of go through the existing lease and work out the terms, to
Right.
make sure they work for the memorial forest that we're proposing and the farmer.
But I mean, when would they be planting now? Right?
Well, if it gets put out the lease bid anytime this year, fine, you can always put a fall crop on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you did it in July, I mean, there's
Yeah,
plenty
right.
of time for them
Exactly.
to
We got
have
money, we got time, right,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
For both properties, actually.
Right.
Right. Do them the same
Exactly.
time.
For the consulata, maybe we can get an organic farmer.
Well, that was discussed here. I mean, I think that there was some discussion about that already.
There's none to be had.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
doesn't
kind of
sound like he
agree.
doesn't like that.
Well, we did talk about it.
We did, yeah.
We had that discussion
We did.
because that was brought up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a different topic, but the memorial forest for sure is something we can at least start working out. I could even ask Maureen to like draw it up quickly, right? So our engineer, she can
It
even
really
do a
is a
quick
simple
drawing of
process.
it, yeah.
I don't see why it needs to linger very long.
No.
No.
Cut out what we want to cut out, does not give
So
me.
here you go. This is what you get.
This is right, it's simple. Okay, very good.
Okay, I'll work with her on that then.
Statewide farmland preservation formula.
So the State Ag Development Committee has been working on this, what they're calling their statewide farmland preservation formula. And basically it's a new way to come up with what we would be paying for farmland preservation projects. It's supposed to cut 6 to 8 weeks off of the process, especially the appraisal process, while also giving the farmer a lot more money for their easement. So I'm just gonna go through my notes with you real quick. It's actually really interesting. I attended this webinar on it, which explained it. So right now, when we do an appraisal, we get in the before value, which is basically what is your land worth right now as is. Then we get an after value, which is what is it worth when we take all of the development potential out, and the difference of those two is the easement value, and that's normally when an appraiser says this is what it's worth for the farmland preservation easement. Typically that ends up being between 50%, 40 to 50-ish% of the before value. So of your regular value, the farmland preservation formula actually can give almost up to 90% in some instances of the full fee value. So the idea is to get more farmers in, pay them more for what their property is worth, and also preserve at the same time. So the first step is you just get one appraisal to start with, which is great. Automatically, the formula starts at half of the fee value is where you start. So automatically, we're starting at 50%, right, with the formula. The second step is then we review the agricultural characteristics that the state has put together in this Excel spreadsheet. That can add up to 20%. So now we're already 70% of the original value. Then there's a third step that I can add up to another 10% for specific natural resources. So like in the past, ag modified wetlands, that would be considered a negative. It's not anymore. Now it's considered a positive, and it can add another 10%. There's also, you can add on 5% for they call it risk of conversion, which is basically, is it an estate situation? Is it in foreclosure? Anything that makes it high risk for turning over to become another type of development. And then the landowner can also put on some voluntary restrictions if they want, not mandatory. They can limit their heated living space to 2,500 square feet, and they can also put a 10% impervious coverage. So if you were to get all of those categories, you would get 90% of the before value for your farmland easement, which is much more enticing for farmers to participate in. It makes the program more
And how much of
competitive.
that 90% are we eligible to get back from SADC?
So they've increased their cost share now. It used to be 60%, and now they can go up to 80%.
Okay.
So we
That
actually are on
offsets
hook
the
for less.
outlay that we do.
Right.
By giving us a little more.
And the amount of time that it cuts
Well,
off.
that's
So
a big
now,
deal.
yeah,
And only one appraisal.
if we use the
As long as
formula.
they're, yeah.
Yes. So now the key is that it got published in the Register on April 7th.
Okay.
Whatever type of legislation it is, I forget, they said the name of it. Once it's published in the Register, they actually have the ability to start using it. So we actually can start using it with any future projects right now. The one thing is that if we use it once, we have to use it always. So if we say we're going to use the formula, we have to at least show it to every farmer. We can't just use it here, just use it there. It definitely behooves us to use it, because the farmer can say, I don't want that value, I want my old value. But I can't imagine anyone's going to say, I'd rather take 50% than 60%. Who's going to do that, So I think in all the years I've done farmland preservation, which has been a while now, this is great for farmers. This is an awesome, gives them more money, gives us more time, saves us time and negotiation, because we're following a formula, so.
Costs us more money.
And it costs us less money, yes, because we only need the one appraisal to start with the.
Yeah, but are you paying the farmer more than you would have under the previous?
We're paying the farmer more, you're right, but we can get reimbursed more. So before we only get reimbursed 60%, now we can get reimbursed 80%. So you're right, we are gonna pay a little more.
But we get reimbursed 80% of what we paid.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
I bet you it's about a wash.
It's probably gonna be, in some cases,
No,
we're gonna pay a little more,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be much more enticing for farmers to
Yeah.
come in, because the SADC has noticed, like they've said in their last 3 reports, just like every municipality, farmland preservation has slowed down a lot. So has open space preservation, because COVID obviously was an issue, but also the land values in New Jersey are astronomical, and it's not worth it sometimes for farmers.
Well, and the properties most likely to be preserved have already been preserved.
Correct, yes, and you're right, the
You're
big
getting
farms are
into-
already preserved.
Harder and harder decisions, as you.
There's some out there though.
One of the things the formula gives to us, I believe, if a farmer says, well, I got a farmer who's been asking me this question for years, what's the range of can you offer? So we can run this farm on the formula and come up with a number, and give them a range, it could be this or this, but before we had to get an appraisal. We can use the formula to our advantage.
No, I get it. It
So
makes sense to me. Now, they're still doing highest and best use on ones that aren't in the A zone, or?
Yes, well, they'll still do the highest and best use. They still are, the appraisal process, like the appraiser report is still gonna be
They're the same.
the same. But our appraisers, for example, I work mostly with Victor DeSanto, he can get an appraisal back in 2 weeks. So a lot of times it's waiting on them to look at it and this and that. So this'll be, I think, a lot better. I think it's gonna be a lot better.
Tara and I gotta sit down on one property, get the tax number, we're gonna run the numbers and see what it comes up to. And I think it'll come up to what a guy would jump on it, I believe. You gotta say to him, look, this is just the formula, I explained the formula's coming, he will tell me what the formula might show me before we spend them towns.
Right.
Money for appraisals.
Yeah, of course, you wanna know.
And it also takes out really any other types of, not even with negotiation, but it helps with negotiation, because it's like, hey, here we're showing you, you have this, and this is why we're offering you this. We can still negotiate too off of this formula. It's not like we
Well, the
can't.
formula gets you to a percentage, but then the percentage is on a number, and
Correct.
that's the appraisal. And
Correct.
the appraisal is, mean, they are pretty straightforward. Well, vacant land appraisals are not that difficult for an appraiser to get done, because you're just looking at the zoning and you're looking at the highest and best use, and and even in the A zone, I mean, the highest and best use is 6-acre lots for houses, right? I mean, that's what it is. So you're just doing a planning study saying this lot can have 15 houses and lots go for this much per lot, and it's, the current market.
Yeah.
Right.
But the SADC wants to get more farmers in. They have money that they haven't spent, so I think so the next time I do one, I'll share it with everyone to see. I think it's gonna be good though for our farmers.
You said it's optional at this time. Is it going to be mandatory?
It's not mandatory, but if we use it, if we choose to use it, we always have to use it. So I think we always use it. It's just.
I didn't know if it was optional now, but eventually would be mandatory.
No.
As of right now, it's optional, but once you start, you have to stick with
You
it.
gotta stick with it, yeah, and I think it makes sense for us to stick with it. I really do.
Why spend money to appraisal when you get away, right there's a $10,000 savings.
Yeah, because appraisals are going through the roof. They really are, so.
All
So
right.
that's that.
Next up is the hunting program. Somebody have any numbers for it?
I have some, but they're not, I don't have a lot, unfortunately. So I can tell you right now, we got in a total, as of right now, 162 permits were issued. We have 75 reports in. So I sent out my first of a series of, they start off nice and then I get nastier and nastier. No, I'm just kidding. I get meaner at them. So no, I sent out one once. So we're waiting on 100 summaries. However,
Shoot to kill one, Bob. That's what we got to figure out.
75 out of 162. So as of right now, we have 42 deer that were culled in season 1, which is September 14th through October 26th. 31 that were done total from October 27th to December 31st, and that is all bow hunting, what I just told you. Then our firearm season, which is January 1st through February 8th, we had a total of 26. Now this is reported. This is not all of them. So far 99 in total that have been reported. The most so far have been done at Butler Road, I think it is. Yes, Butler Road, which makes sense. 38 altogether. So I do have numbers in for each section, but 75 out of 162 really isn't enough to make any kind of real analysis. So I sent out my reminder, and I will continue to get more. I already got a few people saying, "Oh, I lost my form. Can you send it in?" So I will keep doing that.
If they don't send it in, does that mean that they cannot get a permit the next year?
They don't get their permit for next year in their spot. The problem with that, using that as our hook kind of, is that there's always spots available 10-mile run. But there are people that really want to keep their spot at Negri, Napodi, Butler Road. People do not want to give that up. So, we try. And we actually did use that this year. It was the first time ever we were like, you are not getting your spot this year because you didn't hand in your forms. So... But,
I want to bring this up since we're on the new business in the hunting program. In the state Park Service, Infinite Wisdom, we've always gotten a demonstration permit to take care of shooting the deer and the crops. My permit runs out in December, it ran out in December, applied for a new one in January. And in the Infinite Wisdom of Park Service, they says, well, you can't have one, we can only have it from March 1st to September 1st.
But it's not hunt season.
Well, no hunts. They said they want the hunters to take care of the deer. Well, the reason we got a permit is because the hunters aren't taking care of the deer. They gave out almost 200 permits in 6-mile run with over 3,000 acres last year, and they got a total of between 70 and 80 deer.
That was it.
That's it.
That's all they got. That means a lot of people have first to go up.
No, Bob, but the thing is those guys are all shooting bucks. They want to shoot their
Oh, right, yeah.
And Fish and Wildlife knows that most guys are going to shoot an up deer to fill a freezer, and they're not going to shoot a doe if they don't have to. If they shoot a doe in the early season, they're going to sit on the biggest buck they can find. Most of the time, they won't even shoot that one because the season will be over before they're looking for that one monster buck. So I've been working on this for 4 months now, and we can't get it. It's bad for the town because there's going to be that one more deer there, and we get it to protect the crops, so in September, October, November, December, the crops may be still up. We're not gonna be able to protect the crop. So I talked to Mr. Assemblyman Danielson today about it, Greg's talking to Bob Smith about it. We've been hammering everybody, but Parks just will not take no for an, they won't. And I've got a letter in my possession that says that was written in lease came out, they're 5-year leases. At the beginning of the current term, which ends in December, they said I can get this permit for 5 years. And they're looking at that letter and going, oh, but I think it's a concern to town because we shot 80 deer last year and on a limited basis. So, you know, and that's for a whole year. I mean, when the crops are up, and the best time to cull the herd is January, February, March. I mean, you want to shoot them in the crops when you keep getting, you know, the more you shoot into crops, the better off it is. But you're really doing a good cull rate in the winter months when the does are pregnant. You're shooting the does, and they're carrying 2 and 3 little ones. But I don't know if the town wants to get involved and reach out to parks, or the committee wants to send something to council to try to put the heat on the parks. I mean, I've been talking my head off to everybody, and you know, the wardens who issue the permits are like, this is nuts. You guys need the permits all the time, and they're making a blanket thing. I talked to a friend of mine who's got park property in South Pass Confluence. They allow gun hunting there, and he's got no problem. It's the problem in 6 Mile Run. There's no gun hunting; it's just bow hunting. Well, I take that back.
Small portion.
There's one section of gun hunting, and those guys get those, and it's by permit only. So,
yep, they made that parking spot for them.
Right.
Why are they doing that? Like,
What's that?
why are they doing that? What are they trying to accomplish by limiting your?
Because one hunter complained last year we were shooting these deer and he can't get one, I guess.
Which means he's not a very skillful hunter.
Right.
If you cannot shoot a deer in 6 Mile Run, then you have other problems.
Right. Well,
You're not good at your craft.
and part of the problem is with
Come to my house.
in the 6 Mile Run areas, we have all these housing developments around it. And the deer know to live like next to the house development, like in your neighborhood. So when do they come? I talk to a hunter on Frank Leaf Road probably 3 or 4 times a year when I see him over there. He says, "Yeah, I can see the deer between me and the house. I can't get them to come to the bait pile." Right? But what do at nighttime? They come out of the house, they get out in the fields and eat, and we shoot most of the deer at night on the spotlight.
You do it exactly.
Yeah.
But
Come to my house.
now they're curtailing what we can, you know, they're curtailing what we can do and stuff. So you
You
know.
can shoot up my deck.
You can punch them.
You said that, was there a policy or something like that? You couldn't find any writing policy, right? You were gonna send me it, or you couldn't find anything about this, about the permits?
The only
I'm not
policy,
in the middle of the
there's
woods.
policy by the state board.
Yeah.
You told me that,
I
yeah.
come by.
And that's public, I guess, that's public now, I guess you can find it
Bow
somewhere.
hunter,
Okay.
and he wants to shoot lots of deer and give them to the food bank.
Well, that's the most of our deer go to.
Most of the land, the woods is county
Yeah,
land,
it is, yeah.
but he'll sort of sit on the edge of my property or the next property,
Right?
put some
State
corn
parks.
out.
And there's an organization called Hunters Against Hunger. They have a nice little refrigerated trailer. And that usually sits in my place 3 or 4 times a year, and we fill it for them.
Okay.
Now they're, yeah, you know,
Is that
The food bank takes
Gaylord
it?
people?
what's that?
Is that the Tony Gaylord people?
I think so.
I think that is, yeah.
That was in Princeton
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago when it
Generally,
was
the
cheap.
hunter has to pay for
They
the
used to
butcher.
go and I think it's the
They
same
put the trailer,
organization.
we plug it on electric, and they pay for the electric, and sit there and fill the trailer, they come get it, take
I don't know
it
what-
away, and bring it back again when we want it. So,
It's the only
Just
thing you
figure I'd bring that
can
up while
do,
we're
other
on
than
it.
eat it yourself.
it's not a good scenario for town, because less deer get shot,
Yep.
more probably gonna be on the road. Oh, and just bring it up also, I'm thinking about this, we have a demonstration on a Rutgers property, and we shot 35 deer on a permit on the Rutgers property, 33 of them were does.
Wow.
And that's beside what the hunter shot on Rutgers property.
Yep.
So,
You mean Hutchinson?
moving on whole business.
I thought that was fenced off to keep that deer out.
Hudson Memorial Forest? What was the question? I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, I thought he said that's where they got all those deer from, but I thought it was fenced off. to
Fenced
keep
off,
the deer
like,
out.
fencing.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that again?
Hutchinson
I
Park.
thought it was fenced off to keep the deer out, like,
Well, that's outside of all that fence. The Memorial Forest, Hutchinson Memorial Forest is fenced, but there's also deer inside of that, because we have hunters I help run the program on Hutchinson.
They got in,
They get in, the fence gets down, they get in, we have hunters and bow hunters inside. Again, that's only open up to bow hunting, but because we lease property from Rutgers, we got the same kind of deal we have with the state. We get a permit, we got the okay from the guru of Rutgers to be able to use a gun, because you can't use a gun on Rutgers property to start with, as a school property. So they gave us an exemption to that, so that's why we got so many deer. We probably shot as many deer in that area, just from Van Cleef, Amwell to Blackwell's, that section right in there. We had 30. And most of them are between Amwell and Van Cleef and Blackwell's. The Browns are that one small section. So those permits do work well.
Just one thing, I know that towns like Princeton have like sharpshooter programs. I know they get expensive. Just wanted to bring it up.
We've gone through that multiple times in the discussion. It's very, very expensive, and there's not, the areas where it would need to be done, the open spaces, the land where it would need to be done is not under the control of the township. We had them here, White Buffalo.
yeah, White
And we've gone through that multiple times, and it's just not practical for our application.
We're doing a good job with the hunters. I mean, we got hunters in areas that most towns wouldn't put hunters in. We're doing a good job with our program. I always tout how good Franklin is about getting deer population, try to get under control.
You just need to find hunters that are willing to go out regularly and hunt those properties
Right.
that only allow for a small number of hunters.
Right.
You know, if you have a property that only allows for 6 hunters, you need all 6 of those that got permits for those properties to go and actively hunt the property through the season.
All right. We've got a good group of guys hunting.
I know, I'm saying
Got a
something
good group of
that you
guys,
need
yep.
to.
Is there any auto statistics? Usually we see the autos, like,
They're not in yet. I asked AT for them, but they're not in yet, so he will get them, and I should have, for the next meeting, I should have those, and I hope I'll have like 30 more reports in. That's my goal.
We advertise outside of our area here about permits and the need for hunters.
So we advertise on our township social media and our website. We do actually have hunters from a lot of different places. We have a lot of hunters from New York that come. We have hunters from other towns.
Ends up being
so-
more word of mouth than anything
Yeah.
else, to be honest with you.
We could advertise more, but we try to, we post in the Franklin Times, so I don't know. I mean, when we do on social media, that's probably when it gets further out, but yeah, it ends up really being like friends of friends.
And we kind of run the program, if there's a lottery of permits available, the township residents get first dibs.
Yeah, so rear residents.
And then it's the next closest town, whoever lives in South Brunswick, or we kind of expand it out as we go.
So how many permits are not given out that are available every year on average?
So a 10-mile run, we have about 100 permits there alone, and this year I think we had probably like 40 left, probably 30 or 40
Talking about word
left.
of mouth, which is like one of the best ways to get stuff out. One thing is the people who hunt don't want other hunters there,
Right.
so that they'll have it to themselves.
Very
So
true.
that's why I'm wondering, is this something that we want to broaden our advertising, or however you want to
You
do it?
probably run into that, you broaden the advertising too much, then what do you get? What kind of response you get?
I don't know.
You get people coming in and people don't shoot the deer. We try to we started this program without any advertising. Low key as we could get it, because we didn't want the feedback from the general public saying they're Bambi killers.
But how's it working out for us so far the way it is?
I think our program's working pretty well.
We have permits at 10-mile run that are not used, but that happens all the time. And I think we're okay. The other thing is Montgomery has a program, Hillsborough has a program, so around us, they really have their own programs too, so, yeah. But we do post it on social media and our website, so hopefully we get some more that way. Yeah.
And most of the guys, they'll bring their buddies, their uncles, kids, come on. We've got father and son teams all the time, and picking up new ones as kids get big enough. Some people, kids want to start taking up hunting, they'll bring them in. There's extra permit. We give a couple places, we give extra permit because the father wants to bring his son. It's just starting out or something, so we'll put an extra permit out for that purpose.
Is there a restriction on residency? Like, does it have to be New Jersey?
State law. You mean the residency? No, the preference goes to residents.
You have to have it.
From Pennsylvania wanted to come and,
You get a New Jersey hunt license, and we have open permits, you can get one.
Yeah, they get so if, say a person from Pennsylvania has a New Jersey hunting license, and they want to hunt at like Negri Napodi, and there's only one spot left. When we do the lottery, the first priority in that pool for that one spot would go to a Franklin resident. If there's no Franklin residents, then it's a resident of Somerset County, then New Jersey, then outside of the state. So they get last, if you're out of the state, you get last priority, basically.
In all our smaller properties, that's the biggest number of permits we give out is up there. And all the rest of them, there's always people wanting to get in, there's not enough room. So in fact, we gotta have a meeting before too long, we're gonna discuss about, looking at the numbers of all the properties. We feel some properties have a couple, maybe too many hunters, and some of them don't have enough, so we're gonna adjust the numbers. We gotta do that, Tara.
We will, yep.
So, anyway, let's move on to old business, recreation open space inventory.
I'm continuing to work on it. There are thousands of parcels, so I'm like working my way through it, yeah. But me and Mark and the planning board chair, he actually emailed me the other day, we're trying to find a date for the three of us to meet to talk about working on the update of the plan. The inventory needs to be done first, so T and I are working on it.
Okay, trails plan.
Again, the trail plan is done, which is great, all ready and set to go. We've actually been using it. It's been approved by the planning board, the members themselves. We have to get on an agenda. There has been a lot of activity lately at the planning board, so we are getting bumped, which is okay because they have some, but we're getting on there to be adopted as part of the master plan, but it's a complete plan that can be used.
Repair the bird blind.
So Chris Williams has been working on the bird blind. He sent me one picture. This is what I have so far. It won't expand for some reason, but okay. All right. Well, that's it right now. I know Bob has been helping him. Bob helped him get some siding. Jim Kolagowski from the Trails Committee helped him do some work as well. So he's been getting a lot done. He removed some of the old boards. He put this new siding on. So yeah, he's moving along. You have any
I
others?
thought we were building an entirely new one. I guess he's just sort of repairing the old one.
He's just repairing and rehabbing it. Yep.
Yeah, the Trails Committee had requested to build a whole new one, but this committee said, no, we're gonna repair it.
You're right.
And then
Correct.
Chris offered to do that.
Yes. Which
So,
is,
but just to kind of, refurbish what was there.
yeah, he's been
Nice you
working.
did that.
Yeah, he's been working hard on it.
Is the pond, I guess the pond's dry. That's where the pond is, right there, right? The berm.
That is facing, that's facing the pond.
Vernal pond that is
It has water.
dry right now, yeah.
No, it's not dry, it's full.
Is it now got, well, it's been raining, so it's
Yeah.
finally did tell it now. It's been raining and raining and raining and raining.
Quick question, how do you reimburse for the lumber?
So,
Never mind.
1.32 inches.
Well, you should have done that.
Well, he wanted lumber, that would have been done if you didn't have it.
That's not true. You
yes.
know what, Bob, I'm not gonna argue with you here. That's absolutely not true, and no one should be putting money out of their pocket. We have accounts, we don't pay tax, all
I don't
right,
pay
so
tax
that,
either.
huh?
I don't pay tax
And
either.
I-
said
You didn't pay sales tax on that?
No, I got 5% plus no sales tax.
How did you get no sales tax?
I'm a farmer.
We
that
don't
was
pay
one,
sales tax.
that was one thing that Chris did do that was a no-no, which was that we gave him the approval at this committee to start it, and then I got sent a picture of half of the bird blind
Right.
taken down because the budget is not in place yet, which we told him. He was like, but I want to do it now, and he started, which that's great, but the problem is we literally cannot buy the stuff or have it delivered until the funding is in place from the budget. He started before the
Temporary
budget
budget.
hearing even happened, so we're kind of in a holding pattern.
And it sounds like, because I ran into him at the store, and it sounds like he's now waiting to continue until
is.
the money's in place.
Because I told him basically
Yeah.
we can't, you know what I mean? Now you already bought this, so I'll take this and talk to him about it later. But, so yeah, but he should not do any more work until that happens.
There's also like scraps and things like around. I don't know if we should I'm afraid this might take so long that things start growing up around it. So I'm thinking it might make sense if we could remove like the scraps, things that have come down.
Okay, well, I'll talk to him and make sure he's not, I'm sure he's not leaving them there for some type of purpose, but I don't want to take something away that he might need, so I can ask him,
Just
and
mention
then
it, yeah.
if he puts it in a pile or something, then we can, I'll ask him. Okay,
I'm guessing that's not the recycled plastic lumber, it's regular wood.
It's lumber.
No, I don't think it's recycled plastic, no.
I'm guessing that's
On sheds?
T111.
That's like a very, it's like a
different
very
than
thin,
T111, Rob.
like,
Yeah.
coating.
Yeah.
But it's wood.
What you're
I
looking
think
at,
it's
like
wood,
that.
Yeah. But it's basically
The tan is very thin.
But it's a little
a little
better.
bit better, probably maybe out of
Painted
Yeah.
or stained?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
It looks stained.
Says it or not.
It's colored, it's
It
like,
comes colored like that?
it's like siding, it's like,
It's like
Smart-
siding,
smart
yeah.
side. Oh.
Smart
side,
side.
yeah.
Well,
Looks
so
nice.
he's working on it. He's gonna have to stop for a little bit, but yes, he already started, so we appreciate it.
So somebody, I
Yeah.
just thought I just did a little search because someone was talking about hunters and trying to get more hunters. And I just did a quick search because I thought that this was the case. So out of the 50 states in the United States, by percentage, New Jersey ranks number 47 with 0.8% of the residents of the state holding hunting licenses. And that's been steadily declining annually. And I was shocked at, who was number one, but New Jersey's number 47. The state that is number one for percentage of those holding,
Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Mississippi,
wow.
32.61 per 100,000.
Jeez.
That's interesting.
What are they hunting?
Alligators?
I think they hunt just about everything. I mean,
Yeah.
there's certainly a deer population and there's a waterfowl population.
And then they probably got wild hogs down there they're hunting
And number two is Louisiana, right next door.
and gator hunting.
There are black bears
There
there.
are black bears, absolutely.
Gators, so
And
that's all,
Florida as
you gotta get a
well.
license.
That's
to
what
do
gator
that.
concentration.
But what's interesting is Louisiana is number two and Mississippi is number one and Florida is up in is right with us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
They're all transplanted.
Numbers in New Jersey.
Yeah, right.
Big time.
Florida's number 45.
Yeah, because they're all New Yorkers,
Snowbirds.
New Jersey people.
New Jersey, Massachusetts, Florida.
They're not down there.
And the least is Rhode Island and Hawaii. So, anyway, just one of the challenges of filling permits on a hunting program like ours is that the number of hunters is steadily declining.
That's a good point in the fact that even with the 6 mile run hunters, there's 100 plus permits. They shoot 70 deer, maybe 70 guys, 100, 100,
Well, that's it, exactly.
Anyway, next thing is sustainable recertification.
We're making good progress on Sustainable Jersey recertification. I looked at our application the other day, so we have 125 points approved already with very minimal effort, so that's good news. Working on my stuff. I'm going to be sending out a reminder to everybody else. I continue to rely on Ted, the king of Sustainable Jersey.
Sustainable Jersey Franklin.
And
right
yeah,
here.
that's all. So we're moving and
Walking
shaking.
Trails program.
Walk All Trails program, we're also making a lot of progress. At the last meeting, we went through and we identified 14.2 miles of trails that people can do when this program is up and running. They can walk it, bike it, however they want to do the trails. The idea is that if you do all of these trails, you're going to submit a Google form and then you get recognized at a town council meeting. So the mayor will give you a award. And we can hopefully get like some type of T-shirt or something.
And we chose just our trails.
Just our trails to start. And we made sure when we were going through, we didn't just randomly choose. We made sure to choose them so they're of different lengths, different difficulties, surfaces, different parts of the town. So we're working on that. And the Google form we went over last time because we also are working with Safi to try and get some data for the mayor's wellness campaign. So there was a heated debate about like what should be asked, what shouldn't be asked, because we're trying to basically trying to figure out a nice way to ask people how fast can you walk and how much do you weigh without asking them, right? So basically we're trying to be like, how do you enjoy walking, fast or slow? Are you able to do that? So
Very fast and not so much.
right.
What's your BMI?
Yes. So we're trying to work on that,
Your
but we're making
height
good progress.
Greater than your width.
Yeah. Yes, see, that's, we didn't think of that, that's a good one. But we're working on, I think we'll be able to get it up and running, and then it'll be nice because it's just a rolling program. So if one person does it, they get recognized at a township committee meeting, that'll be nice
Things
to put
just
their
go on
picture up.
forever. It doesn't
Yeah.
have a season.
Yes, so it'll be good.
Any questions on the consultant's report for Tara? If not, we're gonna move on. Updates for the committees, if we can do this quickly, because we gotta go into executive session.
Shade tree, real quick, we only sold 8 trees this year. We ordered 20 on the tree sale that we have every year. So it's been very slow starting up since COVID. So we're not sure if it's the advertisement that's not working or people just don't want the trees. But we'll try
So,
some.
and this is, I've had discussions about this in the past. I don't think it's that people don't want trees. Shade Tree has tried different types of trees, and I don't mean, maple and oak. I mean, these were bigger trees, and they're more expensive. All right, what were they? About $125 a piece, I think. Right? And I'm not saying that that's expensive for the tree that you got, but there's $125 for a tree that you have a good likelihood will grow, right? If you plant it properly and water it and take care of it. There's also the tiny little trees, right?
No, these are pretty nice.
No. I'm saying there's also the tiny little trees that don't cost $125. The seedlings, exactly. That I don't know, and maybe there's more of an interest in that. I don't know. And we used to give them away. Remember when we used to give them away?
It's good deer food.
Yeah, there are. Believe me. Listen. I deal with it. I know.
Unless you surround it, protect
You got to protect it, exactly, like we did with the Salem oak out there, with a whole big thing around it.
I don't think everybody's going to do that.
No, that's a little bit extravagant. We got nice fencing and everything, right? The famous tree. I don't know. I think that
People think that for $120, I can go to Home Depot
and get 3.
Yeah,
right. And then you're not getting the same quality tree. You're not getting the same size tree, but you can.
And you don't have to do it on a specific
and go buy it on that day and go pick it up.
And the bigger the tree, the more difficult it is to transport and plant.
Absolutely.
That
You got to have a vehicle to transport
that,
it, right?
right,
And,
exactly. They're heavy with that root ball.
Any other updates?
So trails, we have a hike coming up on the 19th at John Clyde. We're doing another one with Therapeutic Rec on the 27th. And we have another one, it's going to be at 6 Mile Run in May and on National Trails Day. So we'll do our National Trails Day hike June 7th. This year, and we're hoping to partner with the Meadows, but we're waiting to hear back. We're thinking about doing something on the towpath at the DeMont Lane entrance at the Van Wickle House, and want to see if we could do a partnership and do both of those things. But those that's tentative at this point. So we're working on that, and maybe, like the other things Tara already mentioned, so I won't reshare them. And I've been, going around and working on updating the kiosks, and the kiosks definitely need work. The paint is all coming off. They're not in great shape. In general, some of them have the little metal boxes, and the keys don't always work, and some of them are just broken altogether. And I don't think they're all weather boxes. So I think
they were all made. We didn't build any of those.
Yeah.
Every one of them was built by scouts sometime along the way.
They do need
So
work, though, I agree.
you get what you get.
Yeah. Well, it's just they need some love. They need some love. They need a coat of paint, and but otherwise, things are going pretty good on trails.
Maybe you can find, down the road, some scouts come in and want to do as a project.
Well, that's what we grab them for these kind of things all the time. I mean, even if they rehab one, right? I mean, it doesn't have, they don't have to build a new one.
Right, just rehab what's there, right, exactly, yeah.
In Middle Bush Park, the book, Little
The
Free
little library,
Library,
yep.
that's kind of smashed up. Doors missing and stuff like that. The one that we have on New Brunswick, Billy I and Chris Kelly are taking care of. So
Oh, great,
the
okay.
Snoopy one, but the one in the park is
Okay, who put that in there? Do you
Boy
know?
Scouts.
The Boy Scouts, okay. Because there's one in Inman Park as well, that's doing well, but I'll go check that one at Middle Bush. Okay, I mean, if that was a Boy Scout one, yeah, okay, all
Yeah,
right.
the books are mildewy and
Oh.
Do you want to know what the best device for those little lending libraries are? The old newspaper machines.
can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, right, because they stay dry. The newspapers used to stay dry, and you can rig them up. There's one, we have one in our marina, and that's what they use for it. Is
It's
the
on the
old
internet somewhere where they.
newspaper, the newspaper vending machine. You just make it so that you don't have to put any money in it, and you can open it up, and it stays dry
Yeah.
inside.
We
You know
even
what I
tried
saw?
mailboxes, old
Yeah,
mailboxes.
Yeah.
You
Can't get them. I went to the post
Mailboxes
office.
are, yeah, no,
The Star Ledger has a whole bunch of them that they.
they're gonna have a whole bunch,
Yeah.
right, exactly,
Right.
all over the state, where there's
You know
no
what I
paper in them
saw?
anymore.
Somebody converted, well, in Somerville, they use one of that, right outside the YMCA, they use it as a little food pantry.
Yeah, it's a food pantry.
And then I saw one, where was I? I think I was at like I might have been, it was another city, because I was at like a basketball or dance thing, and they made it like a personal, like hygiene kind of thing, so with toothpaste, toothbrushes. I thought that was like a nice idea too.
I wouldn't
I
trust.
also saw a microwave.
Well, yeah, it's only if you're desperate, you know.
Microwave
you need it.
used, oh, that's a pretty.
Desperate, that's not a good word.
There's no public comment
True
period.
story.
Motion to go to executive session.
I'll make a motion.
What about the public?
I'll second it.
What about the public?
Well, they're silent tonight.
Oh.
Okay.